Your release is one of the last things you'll do in your shot sequence, but arguably it's the most important. Today I'm with Justin at Shooter's Archery, and we're gonna go over how to get a really good release with 3 of the most common types of release aids. And what you're looking for in a good release is one that happens almost as if by surprise. You want no anticipation, turn off that part of your brain that says shoot now. It's because if you are saying I'm going to shoot right now, you'll have these small little movements and it doesn't take much to send the arrow off course. So Justin, you have a wrist strap release, which is probably the most common style. How does someone get a surprise release with a wrist strap?
So with a wrist strap release, you're going to anchor underneath of your earlobe. There's going to be a little pocket right there. You're going to put your finger around the trigger. You're going to apply slow, even pressure until it goes off.
And that's really the key, is you want to put your finger right on that trigger and apply real steady pressure. What we see a lot of people do is they'll have their finger way off the trigger and they'll hit it in one big motion, and that's really not what we're looking for.
Yep.
Another way is you can use what's called back tension, or kind of like a gross motor movement to set off the release by, again, just put your finger on there. Don't be afraid to touch that trigger. If it goes off too easily, increase the tension and make it harder to go off. So you get your finger on there, and then you're going to imagine like there's a string tied to your elbow and someone's pulling it back and around your head, all in one motion, and that motion will set off the release.
Yep.
All right, so now we're gonna go over the next 2. So what else do we have?
All right, so we're gonna go over to the thumb button.
I'll hold that for you.
That's the thumb button style release.
Yep. And so it has a trigger on it, and the trigger is activated with your thumb, more or less.
Yep.
Whereas this trigger was activated with your index finger.
Yep. All right, so with this release, I like between my index finger and my middle finger, the 2 knuckles right here, I like to split that jawline and follow it back. All right, so draw back, anchor. I'm gonna put my thumb around that barrel and apply slow, even pressure.
So similar to the index finger, you want to get your thumb on there and apply steady pressure until the shot breaks. And what's another way that you can set one of these off? You want to go over the relaxing?
Yeah. What you would do is you would relax your fingers, all right, and then relax your fingers, wrap your thumb around there, and we're going to pull with our back, just like the other style release.
And what's happening is, as you're relaxing your finger, your hand is stretching, and that stretching motion is what's setting off the release. Basically, as your hand is stretching, you're increasing the pressure on the thumb, and eventually it'll go off. The last style, the hinge release. The hinge release is pretty cool and very popular for a good reason, because it's the easiest to get a surprise release with.
Yep.
And so do you kind of want to go over how a hinge works and why it's different from a trigger?
Yep. The hinge is probably one of the most consistent style releases out there. It's going to have a moon, it's going to have a hook, and you can adjust that moon to whatever travel you want. Some have clicks, some don't. Most of them is going to have a 10,000 style click. With these, you're going to put your thumb on that post. You're going to draw back, all right? So you're going to anchor the same way like you do with that thumb button style release. So these 2 knuckles split your jawline. All right, follow it back. You're going to relax your hand until it clicks, and it's going to go off.
And an important thing to remember with these is there's no trigger on them, and it fires off of rotation. So basically what needs to happen is the release needs to rotate from your index and thumb finger area towards your pinky. So as it rotates like that, that's what fires it. And when you're drawing the release back, you want to have all the weight on your index and your thumb not thumb finger. And again, there's a lot of different ways to get one of these to rotate. You can just apply pressure. You can just rotate it with your hand. You can use back tension, where you roll it to the click and then you're just pulling until it goes off. You can relax your hand like the thumb trigger. There's a lot of different ways. really the best way to figure out what's going to be right for you is to get with an archery coach at your local archery shop, experiment with them, and then you're going to be able to find what works best for you. So there are 3 main types of releases that you'll find in archery shops and how to get a good release with them.